Conservative MP Mark Francois and John Whittingdale as well, joining us from Westminster. Gentlemen, very good morning to you both. Thank you for your time this morning. John Whittingdale, if I can ask you first, Theresa May's gamble of saying, support me and I'll quit, has that worked?
Well, that's not the only reason why I decided that reluctantly I would have to support the deal. I think what became clear in Parliament yesterday was that there was a very strong majority against leaving without a deal, and that the alternative, which Parliament is likely to try and push through, is worse. I was opposed to the deal on the basis there was a risk it would leave us trapped in the customs union. The alternative, it appears, is permanent membership. And so the fact that the Prime Minister said she would stand aside for the second stage, I think, is helpful, because I'd like to see somebody at that time who believes in Brexit. But the important thing is that we first get Brexit. And I reluctantly concluded the only way that that can happen is by supporting the deal.
So, just so absolute clarity, John Whittingdale, you are now saying you are supporting the deal.
I have said that I will vote for the Prime Minister's deal if there is a third meaningful vote.
OK, let's move on. Mark Francois, just establish your position. You have been someone who said consistently you will vote the deal down. Where are you this morning?
I'm consistent. I will vote against it because, unfortunately, it means we don't leave the European Union. It leaves us hanging half in and half out. That's always been the case. Not one punctuation mark in the treaty, it is a treaty we're voting on, has changed. Nothing has changed, to use the phrase of the moment. And so, to be consistent, I've always been against it. I'm still against it. I told my whip the other day I wouldn't vote for it if they put a shotgun in my mouth. Other than that, I have no particular view.
What can you tell us, enlighten us, as to some of your ERG colleagues? It seems unclear as to who's doing what. What can you tell us this morning?
Well, this will be a decision for every individual member of Parliament, and it is a difficult decision. And I'd like constituents to know that we've all thought about it, you know, and weighed it up. We've not done whatever we're doing. John and I, we're friends. We've been friends for years. We have neighbouring constituencies in Essex. You know, whatever any MP does, they'll do after having thought about it very carefully. But I suppose our unofficial motto would be Rudyard Kipling's "If," the famous poem. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, yet make allowance for their doubting too. This deal is not going to go through Parliament because there are too many MPs who have read it, realise it does not represent Brexit, and will never, ever vote for it.
OK, just to be clear, again, all about clarity this morning, Mark Francois. I mean, how can you put a number on how many of your ERG colleagues are like you and are staying true to what you said in the past? Can you give us a number?
Enough.
Well, OK. Really? I mean, do you not think you owe people a little bit more than that? I mean, you know, why can't you just tell us? Just tell us.
Well, I'm terribly sorry to make things difficult for the BBC. I do apologise. But I was the operations officer for the Whip's office for 2 years. That's where I learnt my trade. And it was drummed into me as a whip. You never discuss numbers publicly, particularly not with the media, and especially not with the BBC.
Well, OK, I mean, I'm going to bypass you having a dig at the BBC, because this is not genuinely, this is about people watching you two this morning trying to understand what is happening. That's the only important thing, as far as we're concerned, about talking to you. John Whittingdale, tell us where you think the Prime Minister is in relation to meaningful vote 3. There is still, as I understand it, the possibility she will bring that forward. Would that be wise?
Well, the alternative is either that Parliament doesn't reach any conclusion, in which case we're heading for a no-deal exit. Now, if I thought that that was the most likely outcome, then I would be much more relaxed. The reason why I have reluctantly decided to vote for the deal is because I think Parliament is going to step in and force us to accept an alternative, which is likely to be permanent membership. But these are very difficult judgments to make. Mark is absolutely right. Each one of us has wrestled with this for a very long time. Some of us have reached different conclusions as to the best way forward. We're still all of the same mind that this is not a good deal. The question is, what is the alternative?
Can I put one thought to you, and this is really to both of you in a way, which is that there are some people who are watching the goings-on, and in amongst other things, this is specific to the Conservative Party, which is why it's so good to talk to both of you, which is there's something deeply unpleasant about the notion of that the moment she says, I'll quit if you vote for me, lo and behold, the votes come in. And there's something unseemly about that, which suggests that it was never about the principle, that it was always about whether we like her or we don't like her. That is, you will be aware there is an impression that that has been a big part of this latest twist.
But that's your caricature of what has happened, and I don't accept it for a minute. I said before that I thought that it would help if we knew there would be an alternative person who had a track record of fighting for Brexit when we come to that next stage. But actually, what made up my mind was the fact that Parliament voted very narrowly last night to not in favour of a customs union, but the likelihood is that Parliament is going to force upon the government something worse. That was the most important factor in my decision making. And I listened to the Prime Minister last night. I think she spoke with great dignity, and she accepted that when we come to that next stage, if we can get there, then it is right that we have a fresh start. Personally, I think that was a sensible conclusion.
Mark Francois, please pick up.
Certainly, Charlie. One of the great things about when this process is finished is we won't need to listen to that gentleman forever. So, no, it's not about the Prime Minister. I've not voted on that basis either one way or another. We're being asked whether or not to approve a draft international treaty that, if we do approve it, would bind us in international law forever. That is the question. It's not about the Prime Minister. And having read the treaty diligently, I hope, we're MPs, it's our job to do this. Having seen that it keeps us in the EU, it means we remain under the control of the European Court of Justice in key areas of our law. We pay £39 billion for nothing. On the basis of what I have read, and that's what I'm voting on, I cannot vote for it. The Telegraph called it a surrender document. I will never go through the lobbies of the House of Commons to surrender my country to anybody. I'm just not going to do it.
We thank you both for your time this morning, and